Hello, my name is Loralee Lillybridge, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my latest book, Cowboys, Castles, and Cradles. It's a Western romance, of course, about cowboys. The hero is not a cowboy in this book, but he is a wannabe cowboy. And I'm going to read to you a little bit after I tell you a little about my background. I'm a native Texan, and I was born in the Texas Hill Country. I grew up there. I went to school there. My husband, we met because he was in the Air Force, and we married, and I followed him, came with him actually, to Michigan, to his hometown, and we enjoyed a number of years, 61 years together. I'm going to read a little part of where the hero meets the heroine, and bear with me. This takes place in the Texas Hill Country. Hunched over the steering wheel, Whitman Lovett III squinted through the whap-whap of the wipers, hoping to spot some sign of assurance that he was on the right road. The sheet of slanting rain on the pickup's windshield cut visibility to less than the length of his headlight beam. He damn sure didn't want to go over the steep embankment, so he eased back on the accelerator and tried not to overreact. He wasn't afraid to take a risk now and then, but he wasn't stupid. Risking his neck and risking his money were two different matters. He happened to like his neck right where it was. His money? Well, he had more than enough to cover what he had in mind for the future, and then some. All he had to do was stick around long enough to make his plan happen. A bright red 2:15 glowed on the digital dashboard clock, but the dark clouds and heavy rain had already turned the early afternoon into gloomy gray. Whit swore and clenched his jaw tight, so tight till his back teeth ached. This trip was just getting worse and worse. Next time, he'd remember to check the weather report before he took off. Lightning flashed again, revealing the road sign he'd been watching for. He swung the half-ton Silverado to the left, relieved to finally be headed in the right direction. He was later than he'd originally planned. 5 miles later, the wisdom of his decision was definitely in question. He should have followed his first instinct and stayed in San Antonio. As he passed a marker confirming he was still on the right road, a movement in the field caught his eye. What the? Rain blurred the windshield, making it difficult to see clearly. Still squinting, he slowed the truck. Sure enough, someone was out there in the pouring rain. No one in their right mind would stand under a tree like a human lightning rod in this kind of storm, for crying out loud. Another spear of lightning sizzled behind a huge live oak, flooding the field with a halogen-like blue glow. Whit sucked in his breath. Was he seeing things? He blinked twice just to make sure he wasn't hallucinating. He wasn't. A woman, obviously lacking her share of safety smarts, struggled with a bellowing cow determined not to go anywhere. Whit crimped the steering wheel, hit the brakes, and skidded to a stop on the side of the rain-slicked road, all in a single motion. Crazy lady, he muttered, shooting out of the truck right before the door slammed behind him. Could wait to get killed. A high-pitched scream, not unlike that of an injured animal, split the air and sent chills crawling along Whit's spine. Swearing as he ran, he vaulted over the wooden rail fence with a heartfelt thanks to the Almighty for the absence of any emasculating barbed wire strung across the top. His boots hit the ground on the other side hard enough to jar his insides, but he didn't slow down. After seconds that seemed to last for hours, he reached the woman's side, ready to rescue her from whatever imminent danger prompted her call for help. If his breath hadn't been painfully jammed in his chest around his pounding heart, he might have asked if she was waiting for Noah's Ark to float by, but he didn't. For the life of him, he didn't see any reason for her to be screaming at a cow when she should have been heading for the safety of her home, wherever that might be. The woman looked like she'd been swimming in a water tank, but at least he didn't see any signs of visible injury. "Everything is wrong," she yelled at him, like all that was his fault. "In case you haven't noticed, I'm trying to get this heifer out of the pasture. Does it look like I'm having a picnic?" I hope you'll enjoy reading about cowboys, castles, and cradles. And I thank you for listening.